Hello and welcome everyone to the ISCA ButtKicker Cup and Super Cup series here as we are going to be tackling Kansas here for the Team WatsonRacing.com 200. And definitely going to be a barn burner of a race coming off of Darlington last week. Kansas is definitely somewhat of a multi-groove racetrack. Traditionally, though, has been centered on the bottom. That's where you kind of want to be running at. A lot of huge runs going to be happening up there. This track known for slide jobs, and can't wait to see what it's going to look like. I think tire wear is going to be a huge part of this race here tonight. As always, I am Brian Britt, and I'm joined in the booth by Mr. Big Al. How are you doing tonight?
Hey, Brian, what's going on, man? Doing pretty good here tonight. Excited about this race that we got going on here tonight. I think it's going to be a little bit of something for everybody here. Excited to get back to a true mile and a half, though. So let's see what these got going on for us.
Definitely can't wait to see what these guys have in store for us here at this mile and a half. Definitely a little bit of a unique mile and a half for sure. More of, like I said, top groove centric track, but we do have 134 laps here on tonight for the Team WatsonRacing.com 200. Stages are going to be on 25, 50, and of course the race ending on 134 going to 135. 5 sets of tires, actually going to be 4 down in the pits, I do believe. Fuel window 48, so that means, as always, these guys are not going to be able to make that final stage on fuel, so that's definitely going to lead to what the ISCA, I think, is known for. Interesting pit strategies. Taking a quick look at the standings here coming into tonight's race. Clayton Hoffman at the top of the board for the Cup Series, or for the Super Cup Series standing. Actually, I do believe the Cup Series just ended. I'm sorry about that. That was my fault. Actually going to be taking a look at the Super Cup Series. That is my first mess up of the night. We'll have probably plenty more, but we'll have to wait and see. Clayton Hoffman at the top of the board, though. Let's see what he can do here as the playoffs are going to be inbound. Of course, he won the first playoff race last week. Matt DeCiani right now second in the points. Mark Pageant third. Jeffrey Souza fourth. Josh Schaffner in fifth. Al Koslowski sixth. Kenny Powell in seventh. Wayne Grassi in eighth. Andrew Griesbaum ninth. And rounding out our top 10 here, Mark Sanchez. A little bit further down the board here to just capture all of our playoff 16 here. Chris Johnson in 11th place. Andrew Layton in 12th. Greg Wachinski 13th. 14th, Randy Drumhiller. 15th, Paul Olson. And 16th, Robert Pattengale. And a lot of the guys out there, Big Al, actually have so a little bit of changes to their paint schemes. A little bit of an orange banner going across the windshield there that kind of signifies they're in the playoffs. Some guys were not able to actually get that on the race cars, but a lot of those guys that have look for those yellow or orange. Kind of hard to tell, but definitely look for those, and that'll signify who all is in the playoff. Very interesting beast we have here with Kansas. You're going to see guys running around the top, like I said. Qualifying, of course, is a little bit peculiar. You're probably going to be wanting to try to dive down to the bottom on that last lap. Almost super speedway rules in a way, Big Al, how you run that top until you get to that final hot lap.
Yeah, definitely. It is going to be super speedway rules. And with the playoff on the line here, it's just going to really make it for some pretty interesting racing for us.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, this is definitely Kansas is an interesting playoff race because anything can happen. Handling is going to be key. I talked about tires. Those 4 sets of tires are probably all going to end up getting used, just considering this place eats them for breakfast. And a little bit unknown. I mean, from what I've been hearing from some of the drivers, I know I've been driving a lot in the truck series this week, but racing in the actual Cup, I haven't had a lot of experience with that, but what I've heard is running on the top actually saves the tire, which is kind of interesting. Usually it's the opposite at a lot of other mile and a halves. But let's go ahead and take that brief step away here and get our national anthem in, and definitely can't wait to get the race underway.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Race fans, it is time for those most famous words in motorsports.
Drivers, start your engines!
And we are back, ladies and gentlemen, ready to get this thing underway. The grid is set for tonight's event. Matt DeCiani going to claim the pole, and he was one of the fastest in practice, so no surprise there. Very quick lap from him. Mark Paget going to qualify on the outside pole. Third place going to belong to Andrew Griesbaum. Fourth place going to belong to Chris Johnson. Fifth place, Al Kozlowski. With sixth place, Mark Sanchez. Seventh place going to be Jeffrey Souza. Kenny Powell in eighth. John Mullins going to be starting in ninth. Randy Drumhiller rounding out our top 10.
And that's going to put Clayton Hoffman in 11th with Brian Johnson in 12th. Hopefully he can recover from his messed up last week. Don Avery starts off in 13th. He's got Wayne Grassi on his outside. Paul Olsen gets the drive off in 15th with Jimmy Riggs, new to the series, going to be on his outside in 16th. Philippe Radijek is going to be in 17th, and Andrew Layton along his outside. And that's going to round out this 18-car field, Brian.
That it will. Definitely going to be an exciting one here as we're waiting on these guys to kind of make their move off of pit road here. Definitely glad to see some new names out there. That's definitely pretty interesting to see. Jimmy Riggs must be a new guy that just joined the series. Glad to have him, that's for sure. Shout out to anybody that might be out there watching and supporting him. But definitely a big shout out to ButtKicker for being on board here as the title sponsor for this season. Definitely love everything that those guys do for us over here in the ISCA. Also, big shout out to Team Watson Racing Setups for coming on board for this one race, getting the title sponsorship here. We definitely appreciate that here as we're going to wait for the pace car to pull off of pit road. And I think the action is going to begin. I mean, 25 laps. Not a long run, but I was talking a little bit to Al Kozlowski earlier today there, Big Al, and he was kind of talking about after 12 laps, I'm getting incredibly loose. Could that be the case for a lot of these drivers?
Yeah, a lot of these guys are really struggling on the short end. As I was making my way around the garage prior to the race, that seemed to be the common theme amongst a lot of drivers, saying that, like, we just can't get the short run speed that we need, but the cars are going to be set up really good for the long run. So I think the first two stages that we actually plow through here is just going to be just that. I think they're going to be really intent, and drivers are going to have to keep their heads on a swivel in order to keep this thing clean and green, Brian, if you will.
Yeah, definitely going to be difficult. I mean, if everybody starts getting really loose after lap 12, that's going to definitely make it pretty difficult for some of these drivers out here. And yeah, also looseness might not be the worst thing, though, just considering if a lot of these guys are going to be running up closer to that wall. You definitely do not want to have a tight condition when you're near the wall.
Yeah, and these guys are going to have to figure it out, and I think they're going to be jostling back and forth amongst themselves here for the majority of this session here this evening, just trying to figure out what works the best. Also going to be trying to figure out that team strategy. And I know that the playoff guys, they've got to keep their noses clean if they want to if they want to advance and possibly have a chance at this thing. Looks like the pace car is finally getting underway. Lights are going to be off on the pace car initially on the start, so that means we will be going green the next time around, as Matt DeCiani will be leading this field to that Geico restart zone. Everybody is currently boogieing on getting off of pit road there. Be lining these things up 2 by 2, Brian, and I'm just wondering how long it's going to take for those tires to get up to that operating temperature that I think is going to be key in the handling characteristics of these automobiles here this evening.
No, I think you hit the nail on the head. I think it's going to take a lap or two to get the tire temperature up to the necessary. Because when you're on cold tires, you're definitely going to see some slip sliding, especially at a track like this. I mean, Kansas known for being a track where you're going to be slip sliding anyway, and on those cold tires, these guys are definitely going to have their hands full.
Yeah, cold tires and old tires, they definitely have the same handling characteristics. So, but you know what, though? This is definitely a bigger track. This track's a lot easier to drive than the previous 2 tracks. I do believe 2 weeks ago we were at Daytona. After that, we were at Darlington. Matt DeCiani leading this crew here to the Geico start zone here once he gets in that blue.
Green flag, green flag.
And there it is, the green flag out for the first time here tonight. Matt DeCiani with a kind of a silent start there. Didn't really get the big jump, and I think that lends to how big the draft is at a track like this. You don't really want to get that jump at Darlington. It was necessary, but here it's definitely not. But DeCiani already starting to pull away. It's side by side for second place. You see Andrew Griesbaum working on Mark Pageant. Looks like Pageant's going to get the run on exit here. Chris Johnson coming into the picture here, fighting for third.
Andrew Griesbaum's now going to be hugging that bottom line there as we look at John Mullins a little bit further in the pack. He gets a little bit squirrely, and that's going to cause a little bit of a checkup as he's got the 92 of Clayton Hoffman now trying to decide if he wants to go higher or low.
It's really interesting, though. Clayton, I don't believe, elected to qualify here, so he started a little bit further back, or I don't know. I think maybe he actually did qualify, but just fell back on purpose here. Oh, a little bit of contact with the wall there. Oh, Clayton Hoffman already almost having some troubles here early in this event.
Yeah, I don't think Clayton did qualify, but look at the 48, though, of Chris D. Johnson as he is up high on the wall. He's got, looks like Al Kozlowski down on his inside with Andrew Griesbaum, threading the needle there trying to figure out if they're going to take it 3 wide or not just yet.
Yeah, Griesbaum in that Ford there. Started in fourth, I do believe, drove his way up to almost second there, battling with Pageant, but then fell back all of a sudden. So that car not firing off like what he needs here. As we see Al Kozlowski now starting to battle with Chris Johnson. Of course, that is for, I do believe, the third position here. As we see the top 2 starting to drive away. Matt DeCiani moving up to the top lane. You see Mark Pageant trying to get ahead of that draft on the straightaways. One thing about this track, Big Al, that you kind of see a lot is it's almost like Michigan, to where you don't really want to run in the guy's draft in the corner. But on the straightaway, you definitely want to get every bit of that dirty air as you possibly can to get some speed.
Yeah, and I do believe DeCiani and Paget are just totally getting a driveway because the guys behind them are too wide. You know, that's one thing about this racetrack. It is multi-grooved, but if you don't get one behind another, though, you just going to be asking yourself exactly what's going on. It does look like these drivers are starting to shape up a little bit. As Kozlowski seems to be dropping back a little bit. That's going to put Griesbaum high up behind the 48 of Christy Johnson. And they got Jeffrey Souza and Mark Sanchez right there from, I do believe, the Triad guys that's going to be rolling in behind them as well.
Yeah, you can see this is a track where, yeah, you can make both lines work, but you see Al Kozlowski, he goes down to the bottom, and he does not have a lot of help down there, and also top line's getting more momentum on the exit, so he's almost putting himself under fire from Andrew Griesbaum, by trying to pass Johnson. So it's going to be a patience deal here, to try to work the lines and only make the move when you're sure that you're going to be able to slide up and get that position.
Yeah, absolutely, and I did misspeak. I do believe that Mark Sanchez is a member of the MMR group. I actually said that he was a member of Triad. Sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen.
No harm, no foul. Definitely the racing is still progressing. It's starting to go single file, but Clayton on the move. We saw him getting close to hitting that wall a little bit earlier, coming off of his win. He's got a little bit of a buffer here in the playoffs, but look at the sending maneuver he's doing right now on Jeffrey Souza. And he's going to now go side by side with Andrew Griesbaum. But wow, look at the wiggle that we just saw from, I do believe, Souza. Souza all out of sorts there for that last corner.
Yeah, Clayton Hoffman definitely does have that hammer down now. Looks like he is definitely intent on moving himself through the field. He did start, I do believe, in 11th place, and now he has dragged himself all the way up to 5th. No doubt he will definitely try to be on the podium as this thing does get through the first stage. And just like that, we're going to be 9 laps into this thing at the stripe. So far, clean and green, Brian. No problems on the track to report.
100%. Matt DeCiani right now has about a 0.3 of a second lead. That clean air definitely helping him through the corners. He's running right on the top lane here. Pageant running the bottom, trying to get a little bit of that clean air through these corners. So definitely, this is a multi-groove track. You can make any line work. It just depends on how that car's set up. Because some guys, the cars aren't that good at the bottom, Big Al. Some of them have to run at the top.
Yeah, and a lot of guys were saying they just couldn't get the car to handle right. It was really loose on the short runs. But I don't think that's the problem here. Is Hoffman now pulls himself all the way up underneath the 88. Now he's going to be tucked in behind the 48 just for a little bit, as he is now attempting to make that move on him. And that will put Clayton Hoffman up to 3rd place so far in this run.
Yeah, it looks like he was definitely able to make that move on Chris Johnson. Very successful drive to the front that Clayton Hoffman is having right now. Looking at his lap times, he is much faster than the two that are in front of him, actually 0.2 faster. And I'm wondering, where their speed's coming from. Maybe he saved on the first couple laps just to get those tires up to operating temperature, because that's one thing about it, in this tire model and a lot of the tire models in the past, where that first, couple laps, that's so important. If you abuse those tires early, you're going to run into problems later. And I think Clayton maybe picked the right, did the right thing, saving that tire being smooth.
Yeah, this first group is all the way up to, we got 7th place Andrew Griesbaum as the 14 of Souza gets into the 88 of Keselowski just a little bit. But what I want to call to note is that first pack truly consists of the top 7 cars. Then you got a little gap back to the 7th place car of, the 8th place car of Mark Sanchez. Then you got an even further gap back to where you get to Don Avery and the likes of Kenny Powell, Brian Johnson, Andrew Layton, John Mullins. These guys riding way in the back here. Not sure if this is by design or if these are handling woes, but we're just going to have to keep a continuous eye. It looks like we are halfway through stage 1.
And what's really interesting about this this week too is, it's week 13, Big Al, so the A Open is not running. The only time these guys have had any sort of practice to be able to kind of see what race conditions are going to feel like have been the NIS race, and that only happens, I do believe, just a couple times. As Griesbaum gets into the outside wall a little bit there, he's now going to come under fire from Mark Sanchez. That is going to be for 7th place.
Yeah, that is definitely true. There's a little bit out of sorts here within the series on week 13. That is the big update week. So far, don't really nothing to note really substantial there on the handling of the cars, but we'll probably get a better grasp on that, I believe, later on through the week.
I know one thing they changed that was kind of major for me getting into the sim was changing the names to orange. That was kind of new to me, threw me off a little bit. Usually they've been yellow. Of course, if you're not really into, actually do not race in iRacing, you might not know what we're talking about, but all the drivers out here know exactly what I'm talking about here, as Clayton Hoffman tried to pass Mark Pageant on the top, no cigar. Now he's going to try the bottom here. He's going to do a slide job here. He barely even has to do anything there, just passes Pageant. I think Pageant might have let him go there. He's like, hey, he's faster than me. There's no point battling him. I got to think about the long run here.
Andrew Griesbaum really falling off the pace as the 11 of Don Avery now makes himself up to 7th place. He'll be battling alongside of the 31 of Mark Sanchez, and looks like he is going to get the go on that. But Griesbaum falling a little bit off the pace here. Not sure what's going on. I think that might be that short distance speed and handling that we were talking about, because he has now got the 24 Kenny Powell that's going to be pulling right up on him as well. And Powell's going to be he is in the top 10. He's definitely going to be trying to get a little bit further up on the running order. They're trying to pick up those valuable stage points.
Definitely a whole lot of battling going on up back here in the mid-pack. Also some battling I kind of saw out of the corner of my eye. Mark Pageant able to get back around Clayton Hoffman, so a little bit of a rotation going on right now for 2nd place, but really the most battling going on is further back here. We see now Mark Sanchez looks on the inside of Chris Johnson. Johnson was another one, just like Griesbaum. Started out really, really strong, and all of a sudden, is really grasping for air. right
Yeah,
now.
definitely something is going on within the handling characteristics of the 48, as well as the 78 of Andrew Grisbaum, as these guys are slowly making their way back the opposite way. They were running up front, but look at the charge that the 24 of Powell's getting, the 31. These guys now starting to come within their own here, as we will be 18 laps into this thing here at the line.
Yeah, looking at lap times, these guys have fallen off substantially. Fastest lap from Matt DeCiani was a 31.191. He is hitting a 32.172 last time by. Even was worse that time by when they just crossed the line. I mean, these guys are losing a second and a half so
Yeah,
far,
and
and that's
just
only 18 laps.
Yeah, that's just amazing. And that's really going to tell us, give us an indication of what we're going to be dealing with as we get into this third stage, which is going to be the longest stage. Now, we still haven't had any cautions as of yet. So, for that part of it, we're still clean and green, Brian. But with these lap times falling off like that, it just makes you wonder how long that is actually going to be before we do see the first caution come out.
Yeah, definitely, because guys are going to reach their breaking point. Al Kozlowski was the one that said after 12 laps that he, started struggling with a loose condition. He's doing fairly well right now, running 5th place. Clayton Hoffman going for the lead, side by side. He was able to deal with Mark Pageant. Can he get up there in front of the one? The one has been painted on that top line.
Yeah, Clayton Hoffman definitely doing his best, and it looks like he is going to be down on the bottom to get by the one of Matt DeCiani. I talked to DeCiani earlier in the race, and he was another driver that was saying, "Man, just can't get this thing dialed in for the short run, but definitely having a long run car." Not sure exactly how long of a run he was referring to, as now he's getting battled also by the two of Mark Paget. Paget's going to be trying to make a race with him, and that would be for what we would consider second place here, Brian.
Yeah, definitely a great performance from those guys battling, but it does look like the long run they're starting to struggle here. As Souza starting to play a significant role here, battling for the 3rd position as he goes underneath Mark Pageant. Jeffrey Souza's been one I think we've been sleeping on a little bit. He's always one that seems to save, and it seems like he is definitely going to be able to take that 3rd position without too much contest.
Yeah, Souza, another member of that Triad Racing Enterprise, and he's doing everything that he has got to do as well, because I do believe he is in the points conversation for the championship. So good to see that he is running strong here tonight. Jeffrey Souza always, there's a lot of talent in this league, regardless, though, from first all the way down to 15th.
Oh yeah, for sure. Very much up in the air. We have no clue who's going to win this race. I don't see really any clear favorites, but I mean, lap time wise, at this moment in time, I would say definitely Clayton Hoffman, the fastest man on the racetrack. Another one of note would be Mark Sanchez, 31.094 last time by. That was only a couple hundredths or a few hundredths slower than Clayton. He was the 2nd fastest driver on the track. So, he might be someone to watch out for. Is Sanchez even in the playoffs? That's a question, because if he's not, he could play spoiler.
Yeah, I don't believe Mark Sanchez is in the playoffs. I think he might have not had raced as many races that he needed to. I'm not sure about that, but we're just going to have to double check that, because I don't want to quote something and be wrong, man, especially against Mr. Sanchez, consummate professional. These guys are all doing everything they need to do. The 64 car, though, of John Mullins finds himself way off the pace, as he is almost at the running 34-second laps here. So he is, I don't know what's going on with that 64 car, but he is definitely going to have to make some adjustments if he wants to get back up into contention here.
Yeah, that he does. Jeffrey Souza now has caught up to the back here of, I do believe, Matt DeCiani. So could see a battle kind of progress here, but it looks like DeCiani starting to drive away once again. Maybe that car coming back to him here. Still not as quick as Clayton Hoffman here, as the white flag going to be coming out here for the stage. And Clayton Hoffman right now has almost a second lead. So he's definitely showing that he's got the pace. I mean, just like he always does. I mean, he wins at Darlington. He wins at, all these different tracks. Wherever you see him at, he's going to be a threat. And I think that's why he's a clear favorite for a championship.
Yeah, speaking of threats, because that 10th place position right now, you got the brothers, Brian and Chris Johnson, right there. Looks like Brian Johnson going to be trying to make his move on the inside of the 48. 48 having some major woes, as he has really dropped back considerably from where he was actually at once this thing started.
And this
And
is
I
going
think,
to wrap up the stage here as these two cross the line. Caution should be coming out. Just a
yep,
few
that's
seconds
gonna,
here.
yeah, it looks like that is gonna put stage 1 in the books for us.
And there it is, yellow flag out. Clayton Hoffman, your stage 1 winner. Matt DeCiani going to finish 2nd place. 3rd place going to belong to Jeffrey Souza. 4th, Don Avery. 5th, Mark Pageant. 6th place, Mark Sanchez. So battle of the marks there for 5th and 6th. 7th place, Al Kozlowski. 8th place, Kenny Powell. 9th place, Brian Johnson. And 10th place, Chris Johnson. So definitely all those top 10 positions are going to be getting some very, very crucial playoff points. I mean, how crucial are they right now? They are. It's so important, just considering we are in the playoffs, 2nd race. I mean, this if you make a mistake here, Big Al, in this playoff race, it could it could affect the results at the end of this thing. So you never know what
points
could
are
happen.
everything. I mean, but anytime you have an opportunity to get points, whether it's 1 or 10, you got to grab those, because that is going to be the delta between the guy that wins the championship and the people that don't. So, I mean, the first stage, though, I think we definitely got a pretty good idea what we can expect. Hopefully these guys will go down, maybe make some adjustments. I don't know. What are you thinking? Are you making adjustments right now, or are you just kind of going to hold out a little bit and maybe conserve a little bit more in stage 2?
Yeah, I maybe would try to change the driver element a little bit. Like maybe I was like, maybe I think I burned it up a little bit, because a lot of guys I think did. They were trying to find that threshold, and they haven't had a lot of opportunities, like we were saying about. They've only had a couple, maybe NISs or maybe even just one, if I'm not mistaken, to really judge what their car will do. Of course, this is an NIS linked race, but let's take a quick step away, pay some attention to our sponsor, ButtKicker. We'll be right back. Hopefully, we'll be able to talk to somebody out there in the field.
ButtKicker. Feel what you've been missing. Get yours today at thebuttkicker.com and be sure to use our 20% discount promo code ISCA20.
Yeah, I got you.
All right, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We got John Mullins here up in the booth. We saw you were struggling pretty heavy there. We just kind of wanted to see what was going on with that race car. You think you're going to be able to get it worked out?
Yeah, I hope so. Made some adjustments there. The car's just real loose. Like it's bad loose. So yeah, we're gonna tweak on a little bit as we go, and hopefully get a little better.
Yeah, definitely. How has the lack of time, I guess, to really see what race conditions are going to feel like? I mean, I know A Open hasn't been running because of week 13. Is that something that maybe made more of a challenge?
Yeah, because I can only test by myself a little bit, and the track I was on definitely had more grip than this. So I got just brought 2 free of a car. Hopefully we can tighten it up, make it better.
Yeah, we definitely hope to see that Ram machine do pretty good tonight. Definitely been running pretty good the last few weeks. Man, we'll appreciate you coming in here. Anybody we can shout out for you before we let you get to the racing?
Yeah, big shout out to Ram and you boys at the booth.
All right, thanks, John. We appreciate your time, man. Good luck in the rest of your race. We'll be watching you.
Thanks, guys.
That was John Mullins. He's right now, I do believe, running in 14th place. Definitely, hopefully them adjustments he threw at that thing work, Big Al. I know he's going to need it.
I mean, that's what you got to do. It's almost like, well, see, as a commentator, sometimes you just want to say the first thing that pops on your mind. But I was like, it's almost like throwing boogers at the wall. You got to do it and see what sticks. But then I was going to say, it's like playing darts. You know what I mean? And he's hoping for a bullseye, but sometimes it's almost like you're kind of blind at it, especially when you haven't had the opportunity to say run laps in traffic with other cars. The air here is tremendous. Even with the diffusers on these cars, it's definitely going to trip up the handling, if you will.
America's next pastime, booger flicking.
Yeah, it's like sometimes you probably don't want to say the first thing that comes to your mind, but I had to share it anyway.
Now we are better for it. I'll say that. As Clayton
Yeah.
Hoffman's going to be able to get this thing underway. We're on the backstretch. Pace car lights are out, and looks like
Now
good pit
Clayton,
stops.
now Clayton's got a different situation here now because he's going to be starting off in the clean air, and that's going to be a big difference. We saw him drive all the way back from 11th to first in that first stage. So now I just think that he is probably going to just get out there and run away with it now. Because there's not going to be anything in front of him but air and opportunity.
Yeah, definitely could be the case for sure. But not really going to want to try to run away, though. I think he's going to want to try to save his
Oh,
tires, but he jumps a little bit
definitely got a
early.
great lead there. A great jump. Looks like the one of Matt DeCiani was kind of laying back there, not wanting to actually kind of chance it or charge it, but looks like that's going to cost him. It's the 14 now. Jeffrey Sousa's going to get that line share of second place.
Yeah, a lot of big movers right now. Kenny Powell moving his way up into 7th right now.
Also, look at the 11 of Don Avery. As he was all the way out of the top 10 for the start of that last stage. As a matter of fact, I think he finished 11th in the last stage, if I'm not mistaken. But look at him now, all the way up in to 4th place.
Yeah, definitely. He's got him a fast hot rod here on the short run. Let's see what it does on the longer run, though, as we see him side by side with Mark Pageant for 4th place. Al Kozlowski also in the mix here.
Yeah, now we saw a lot of drivers running up front at the beginning of the first stage, and they slowly made themselves back towards the back, some of them even falling out of the top 10. So now that we get into stage 2, we're going to see what these drivers learn, not only about the handling of their cars, but about the racetrack. Who made the right adjustments? And that's what we're going to start to see here, and hope that we can keep this thing green as well, as Matt DeCiani now running way up on that high line when everybody else seems to be trucking low going through the turns there, Brian.
Yeah, definitely very interesting. It seems like a lot of guys, just Kansas is that kind of a track where you can run low in the first couple laps when you start to kind of progress your way up the racetrack. And I think DeCiani's just cutting out the middleman and going right to the top. And that's why I love this track, is because you can run at the top. I mean, it's so much fun to run on the top, but it has not a lot of room for error. As we see, Souza chooses to go up there right in front of DeCiani, going to take his line away.
Yeah, we got Wayne Grossi now getting ready to try to make himself get into the top 10 here, possibly for tonight, as he is mixing it up in the fray there, following Chris Johnson back in 12th place.
Yeah, I haven't seen a whole lot of Wayne Grossi here tonight so far. These are tracks that usually he's very, very good at. He's, definitely has gotten that mile and a half and super speedway program definitely on lock here, but we'll have to wait and see if he's able to make his way further up as he dives down to the bottom to try to get underneath the 48. 48 definitely looking a little bit on the loose side.
Yeah, not sure what's going on with that car, but I think everybody is pretty much experiencing the same type of woes as Clayton Hoffman now finds himself under attack from the 14 of Jeffrey Sousa. Sousa's going to be rolling up top, where Clayton is going to be definitely trying to make that bottom line work, and we are 2 by 2 through the top 6 paces here, Brian.
Yeah, definitely some heavy fighting going on right now as Sousa side by side with the leader. Getting some really great exits. It's hard to run that top line at Kansas in 1 and 2 though, because that straightaway comes up quick. It just all of a sudden straightens out. You got to be real careful when you run the top right there.
And this is something we didn't see in that first stage, as the leaders really were one behind another. But now we've got 1st through 4th that are battling this thing out side by side. And that's going to allow some of these guys that are in 5th place or in back to actually catch up to these guys and make it even more racy.
Yeah, you're 100% right. Side-by-side racing here, definitely, you slow each other down. As Jeffrey Sousa manages to take the lead, Clayton Hoffman still not done with the bottom, though, as he's going to try to go back side-by-side with Sousa.
And we definitely got to see how this works out, because if Sousa can make his car fast on the short run, and who knows what he can do with it on the long run, as Matt DeCiani also, he's trying to get his hat thrown into the ring there, as battle for the top 5 is tighter than it's been since the green flag flew initially here, Brian.
Yeah, definitely. It's very, very tight, as we see even Don Avery starting to battle a little bit with Al Kozlowski.
I'm
definitely.
saying the top 7 now. Is the top 7 are really got themselves into a little bit of a boxing sparring match here, and they are just all battling now. This is great for the people at home that are watching this thing, but I guarantee you it's a little bit nerve-wracking for those guys that are down there on the track, Brian.
Oh, 100%. These guys definitely got to be feeling the pressure. I mean, that 92 running up on the bottom. I mean, it's so hard to know if it's going to stick down there, especially at a track like Kansas. There's not a lot of grip on the bottom of this track, but it looks like Clayton is making it work. But Souza still running the top, and I do believe next time by we're going to have 11 laps to go here in this stage. Of course, this stage concludes on lap 50. DeCiani, I mean, he hasn't gone anywhere. Those guys got by him, but he hasn't gone anywhere, Big Al. He's still there.
Yeah, and as we get through this stage, it's just going to be interesting to see who's going to bring themselves up from the back and who's going to take themselves from the front to the back. Is Don Avery still holding in there in 5th place behind the 88 of Al Koslowski? Now you're starting to see that lead pack kind of dissipate a little bit as Clayton Hoffman is going to pull back out in front of the 14 of Jeffrey Souza, and he's going to be our leader once again.
And also, I was kind of interested to see Mark Pageant, kind of back here in 7th place. He was one of the top 3 a little bit earlier in this event. Now he's battling with Kenny Powell on the march here to try to catch up here to Don Avery. Looks like Powell going to try to cross him back over here, coming into 3 and 4. Don Avery now going to challenge Al Koslowski.
Al Koslowski is doing everything that he can, and he's been running pretty solid all night. He's been in the top 5 pretty much consistently. Now, though, this is the time where everything starts to get a little bit tight. So as these drivers are starting to kind of battle it and try to look forward, I think what we say, long in the tooth, but because this is going to be that stage where they got to figure out the adjustments to make. And you got to make those adjustments on that next pit stop, Brian, because that is what I believe is going to be key. And it doesn't look like we're going to have many cautions here tonight either. So that's another thing that drivers are probably going to have to take into consideration as they start to think about their pit strategies going from the end of stage 2 to stage 3.
Mark Pageant has worked his way up to 5th place. Now Don Avery going to try to go underneath Matt DeCiani. This is, of course, the battle for 3rd place.
Koslowski into the wall there. That definitely took a lot of steam out of that 88 Speedway Angels Chevrolet. Kenny Powell, though, in the 24 G&G Camry was smart. He actually stayed high. Koslowski looks like he's going to be able to maintain. But as a result, here comes the 4 of Brian Johnson and Mark Sanchez along with Andrew Griesbaum. They really kind of rolled those guys down when Koslowski got loose there.
Yeah, one thing we've seen all race long is Mark Sanchez. He's had some really, really, really good pace. I mean, looking at his speed right now versus the guys that are in front of him, he's faster than almost everybody. I mean, so I would not be surprised we might even have a chat with Mark Sanchez tonight if he can get the right track position at the right time. It's just having to deal with traffic, and I think that's what's so difficult about this track. And you mentioned Al Koslowski hitting the wall and kind of scrubbing speed off. That's the nature of this track. It is a momentum race course.
Yeah, and speaking of that, Jeffrey Souza up into the wall a little bit there, dragging the paint off of his car. But look at the 11 of Don Avery. He has run all the way back up now, and he finds himself clear in pretty much with a solid 2nd place as he is currently on the hunt there behind our leader, Clayton Hoffman, who has pulled off to almost a 1.7-second lead.
That's just because these guys were battling so hard back here. Don Avery able to capture 2nd. Well, Mark Pageant, he came back from, I do believe, 7th or 8th and drove his way now up to 3rd place. He's got Jeffrey Souza trying to hang on to the end of the stage. Of course, we have, when we cross the line next time by, 4 laps remaining. Oh, Souza getting really loose there.
And I think he's feeling the byproduct of just burning his equipment up a little bit as he has got the one of DeCiani who is going to be coming behind him. And look, here comes the whole back of the pack now, trying to get themselves up into the top 5. You got Powell, who is in 6th. These guys are going to be putting the hammer down because they are seeking those very valuable playoff points. And this is the last opportunity to get them right here, Brian.
No, it definitely is. This is the time that they have to do it. You can tell that these guys want every point that they can get here. As Souza now trying to get back by, DeCiani actually getting by Jeffrey Souza here, but Souza going to try to get back underneath So Souza definitely struggling on the longer run. I mean, this is not like him. Usually he's a good long run driver, but it seems like definitely maybe putting a little bit of that rubber, too much of that rubber down on the racetrack here, as we're going to have 2 laps to go here next time by. When Clayton Hoffman crossed the line, he has now got almost 1.9 seconds back to Don Avery here.
Yeah, Clayton definitely has his stuff figured out, though, but the guys behind him, like I said, this is that last opportunity to pick up points where other people don't. And looks like right now, Chris D. Johnson is going to be on the outside looking in with Randy Drumhiller, Wayne Grossi, Andrew Layton, and the 64 John Mullins. His handling woes seem to continue here, Brian.
Definitely going to be needing to make some more adjustments to that race car as this thing goes on. Unfortunate. I mean, it's hard to know what to do, though. I mean, when you practice a lot, you build a setup for a certain track temp. You know, you want to already unload and be good. But and the thing is when you're having to make those adjustments with the black box, you don't have every adjustment at your fingertips there. You have to kind of adjust just the steering offset or something like that. I mean, there's not tire pressures, stuff like that. There's not a whole lot you can do.
Yeah, apparently his booger didn't stick.
I mean, it would be nice if you could adjust the track bar, but that's not something you can really. I mean, you can mess with the tape, like I said, the tire temps and the tire pressure. I mean, tire pressure could be an important deal.
Yeah, I mean, you just got to have to figure it out because it is even getting. It's almost 3 o'clock here in the afternoon in sim, but looks like this is the last lap here of this stage. Clayton Hoffman's going to do it again. Caution flag should be coming out momentarily.
Yeah, still battling back here. Right when the caution comes out here, can Mark Sanchez get in front? Nope, is not going to be able to, but he is going to finish ninth. Clayton Hoffman gets his second stage win of the night. Don Avery up to second place. Some very good points there for that 11 car. Third place, Matt DeCiani. Fourth place, Mark Pageant. Jeffrey Souza finishes fifth. Sixth place, Kenny Powell. Seventh place, Brian Johnson. Eighth, Al Kozlowski. Ninth, Mark Sanchez. And rounding out our top 10 here, Andrew Griesbaum. Definitely a significant performance here for Clayton. I mean, a lot of times when you see playoff, guys trying to get to the playoffs, they'll have a strong regular season. But the thing is when they're actually in the playoffs, sometimes you hit that slump, and it doesn't look like Clayton's suffering from that at all.
Yeah, definitely not. And with that, though, let's go ahead and take a step away, get a brief word from our sponsors. And ladies and gentlemen, we'll be back. And I tell you what, this time I think we're going to talk to Jeffrey Souza in that 14 car, try to figure out what happened to him.
ButtKicker. Feel what you've been missing. Get yours today at thebuttkicker.com and be sure to use our 20% discount promo code ISCA20.
We are back, ladies and gentlemen, and I do believe Big Al has a special guest here tonight in the booth after completing stage number 2.
Hey, Jeffrey Souza, Big Al up in the booth. You got me?
Hey, Big Al. How's it going?
Hey, man, I was wondering the same thing. We saw you with a tremendous leap there. Actually got out, led a couple laps, and you kind of fell back. So can you talk us through that a little bit?
Yeah, we got in a session tonight a little bit later than I would have liked to take some laps, and made some changes to the car before the race started because I was scraping a little too much. And first stage there, I think it was pretty solid. I was a little bit snug, so I made a small adjustment, and then running the outside as hard as I did there for that first 10 or 12 laps of that run kind of burnt my right rear off it. So we'll see this last stage here, try to take care of it and save our stuff, as we're gonna have probably about 80 laps here, so be a long one.
Yeah, man. So it definitely looks like you brought a rocket ship here. Was the lack of practice, like not being able to run in the A opens, has that had any detriment to your performance here tonight?
Yeah, I definitely think it has. As a team, we have a pretty solid car. Me, Mark, and Don up here in the front, but not having those sessions during the week, A open races or whatever during the night races, um, to see where we really stack up with everybody else, I think has hurt us. We had the NIS race last night, which gave us a good meter of where we were, so we didn't get much time to work on it from there. But we think we have something we can get stay all up here in the top 5 and hopefully give Clayton a run for his money there late in the race.
Well, good luck with that, man. And I see the lights are off on the pace car, so it's about time for you to get back to work. But before I let you go, who we going to do a mini shout out for here?
Yeah, Susan Medius, the analyzer, and everyone over there at Triad. We work our asses off every week for good runs.
Well, man, I appreciate your time and good luck to you. And hopefully, we'll see you on the podium at the end of this thing.
10-4. Thanks, guys.
That was Jeffrey Souza. Right now holds the 5th position, so we'll have to see what he can do. I think the one to watch, so, has got to be this 11. He has been definitely probably the best performance we've seen from him all season long so far. As we're going to see the pace car dip down pit road here any moment as we get the final stage in order. And, man, this is when it starts. This is when the real race starts right here. Everything, all those stages were just practices to get everything worked out. But here comes the green flag. Clayton Hoffman once again getting a fantastic restart. As Don Avery, he's going to be under fire from Matt DeCiani.
Now, Avery started 13th in this thing, so he has driven himself all the way up, through the field. So I think with this long run right here, a lot of guys probably haven't experienced this. Because even in the NIS races, they're generally plagued with cautions. So in order for these guys to get a good, consistent long run in here, they're just going to have to be smart about it. And I think that's what Avery's doing.
Yeah, so far we've only had 25 lap runs. Of course, if this is an 80 lap, run to the end here, like Jeffrey Souza said, that means these guys are going to have to put 40 laps on these tires, which, we could see some things we haven't seen before, Big Al. The 4 car, Brian Johnson, on the inside of the 11, he's diving his way up to, I do believe, looks like he is going to make his way up into 4th place. I'm sorry, 5th place. Kenny Powell also right there in the picture. So G&G, they're not out of it either.
Oh, no, and this is going to be the time where we're just going to be sitting here watching what's going on and hoping that we could actually make it to a green flag pit stop. Because, right now that's going to be the key. Guys got to try to split this stage in half. That's going to be about 40 to 40. And if they can make it that long, then Brian, hopefully we'll see pit strategies unfold and see how that works out for us.
Yeah, I'm definitely very curious on what is going to take place when the pit strategies do happen. And one thing about it, the guy that was trending towards the long run, I'd say, I keep saying it, Mark Sanchez. I've been very impressed with what I've been seeing out of that 31 here so far tonight. I mean, he's had really, really good long run pace, and if we go longer than the 25 we've seen featured so far, then he might have the clear advantage. I mean, maybe not to win this race, but at least get up into the top 5.
Yeah, we're just going to have to see how this plays out, because right now he is rolling right beside the 64 John Mullins. Hopefully Mullins was able to get his handling woes under wraps, as he is running strong, which he usually does early in the stage. We'll just have to see how it plays out for him.
Now we see Matt DeCiani going to his trademark Larson line, if you will, running up at the wall here, trying to catch up to the 92 of Clayton Hoffman. Those two have kind of driven away from everybody else here. I do believe, looking at it, almost a second here in between Matt DeCiani and Mark Pageant, who's in third place.
Yeah, but how much of this is actually scripted? I think a lot of guys are just going to be taking it easy because they understand that you got to make it 40 laps here. I mean, that's got to be the goal if you want to do this thing with one stop, and that should be the goal for everybody, is to try to stop one time to the end.
Yeah, we've seen that time and time again, and especially with this next gen car. At many tracks this year, it has been a lot of guys that save and take it easy. They are rewarded tremendously later in the run. So I mean, all these guys that are running hard up front, once they get to that lap 40, they might not be where they are right now. Just considering, I mean, it just depends. I mean, you get it. You build a lead, you build a gap. That gap will be gone in such a short amount of time if you save your tires for those guys that are saving.
Yeah, 100%. And I think the misers are going to be the ones that are going to be the risers here at the end of this thing. It's going to be that guy because you got to be consistent at this point in the race. That's what we're looking for. I want my guy just to get out there, get in a race rhythm, hit your marks, stay out of trouble, and just keep the car out off the wall.
Yeah, you definitely don't want to hit it too hard because we've seen these next gens are plagued with that toe link issue. And, want to be real careful. It could be, the chassis on these race cars are very, very tough. But if you hit it just the wrong way, you could find yourself on pit road for 8 minutes are required.
Yeah, look at how high Brian Johnson is running. He is truly running that Larson line. Now, Brian has actually been on the move here most of the evening, not qualifying. He started kind of out of the top 10, and now he's in really finished stage one, I do believe, in 9th place. In stage two, he was just outside of the top 5. But he's doing everything that he needs to do. And I think if he could just run his own race, he might be, like you say, I think he might have a chance at least being on the podium at the end of this thing.
No, I definitely think he has a very big shot to get it on the podium. I mean, if you're able to go to a track like Darlington, which he did on Saturday, and literally have 100 feet tell you you're not the victor because you run out of gas. I mean, at Darlington, no less. I mean, he definitely is. He proved he was a solid driver because that's a driver's track, and I have no doubt.
Yeah, he had a strong performance on Thursday as well as Saturday, Brian.
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely proved. A little bit of contact with the wall there. Souza's going to come up. Souza going to take that spot away. This shows you how important momentum is. Just a little touch on the wall slows you down just enough. And now he's going to maybe even be challenged by Kenny Powell. I guess we shouldn't have been talking about him. That broadcaster's curse.
No, that's one of the risks you take when you're running that Larson line, though. When you get up that high on the wall, yeah, it looks like the 24, just a little door bang there, just letting me know he was there. Those are 3 teammates right there, so I hopefully they won't start to wrecking each other.
Yeah, definitely. You would hope not, but
And the 64, John Mullins, man, looks like his handling woes just continue to plague him as he is once again falling way back. In 84, Andrew Layton, we hadn't really said his name a lot tonight either because he has really been struggling as well, I do believe. Randy Drumhiller, another guy who has just been outside of the top 10 or when it counted here this evening.
Yeah, very unfortunate for some of those drivers. Just missed the mark. I mean, and then, looking at the track conditions, I mean, no wonder. I mean, looking at the temperature, I mean, I think we started out with a 106-degree track, and we're at 105 now. It hasn't changed very much. And look at the wind, Big Al, 11 mile an hour.
Yeah, that's right. Let's go ahead and do that officially. 78 degrees our outside air temperature with a track temp of 105 degrees. Wind's going to be out of the southwest at 12 miles an hour here. It's partly cloudy skies. Relative humidity is at 43%, and we are just over halfway in this thing.
Yeah, definitely quite a hot track for Kansas. Definitely slicking it up. We got a battle for second place.
Sticky, and the wind at Kansas. There's not a whole lot of trees in Kansas, right, Dorothy?
Kind of a battle going on right now for second place. Mark Pageant and Matt DeCiani. DeCiani's been another one that's been running right up against that fence. Definitely that one car looking very strong here tonight, but I think Pageant trying to take it away. I mean, even if you could be, all these guys could be on the same team right now, but teams, when it comes to playoffs, it don't mean a whole hill of beans, because, I mean, it is all about, I need to get into the next round.
Yeah, absolutely.
As you see, Pageant drives it in deep, and he's going to exit side by side with DeCiani, but probably going to lose the run on the straightaway, but I think he's able to stay right there on the bumper. Anytime at a track like this, you're able to keep that front nose right below that other guy. You're taking air off of his spoiler. And air is so important at this track.
Yeah, because even with the advent of the diffuser, I mean, these cars still don't handle well in the dirty air. Chris D. Johnson now just lost his 10th place position his 9th place position to Andrew Griesbaum.
And also, we were talking about Brian Johnson that worked his way up into the top 5. He now finds himself in 8th place. Kenny Powell trying to work on Al Kozlowski here.
$62 laps to go before this one's in the books. Probably some 25 laps before we actually open that green flag pit window, which would be the longest run that these drivers have had thus far. So the amount of time that they have until they can pit is equal to the longest runs that they've had here tonight. So I think this is where we're actually going to see the field either start to fall apart or start to reinvent itself.
Yeah, I mean, this is the adjustments that these guys wanted to, you needed to make right now, because, I mean, you're going to have to go longer than you have all night long. Of course, these guys are verging on 22 laps in this stint. Of course, like you said, I mean, a lot of guys probably will maybe do the long, game, kind of long pit a little bit, maybe get extra 5 laps, just so you have newer tires toward the end. But we're going to probably see a whole host of different strategies here. Some guys are going to split it in half. Some guys are going to probably try to short pit so they can get out in front and get a little track position. I have to see how that pays off, though.
Well, I tell you what everybody's going to be doing. They're going to be watching the 92 of Clayton Hoffman, because he is going to dictate a lot of people's pit strategies just based on the fact that hopefully they will be able to keep the run and not get lapped. But, I mean, the draft here is a real thing. But isn't it funny how Hoffman's he's got over a 2-second lead on P2.
That he does. I mean, he has been significantly faster than the rest of the pack here. Last time by 31.021. I'm sorry, 32.801, which is much faster than everybody else out there. No one really matching that lap time. As Jeffrey Souza battling with the one of Matt DeCiani. Souza trying to work his way back up into the top 3. I think that maybe he learned his lesson from that other stage. Seems like he's starting to be a little bit better towards the longer end now.
Well, yeah, this is the one thing I always say. You got to run your own race here. This is not the opportunity or the time to start trying to chase other people, especially with how many laps you're going to have to get in this sequence before you pit. So drivers got to stay. They got to stay in their own head here. You cannot get caught up in, oh, he's pulling away, or, oh, he's catching up. You're going to have to make those tires last, Brian.
Yeah, definitely, for sure. As we see, Jeffrey Souza does take over third, slides right up in front of Matt DeCiani. DeCiani still running up on the top. Don Avery not looking as strong as he did in the previous stages. I wonder if they maybe made a wrong adjustment to that 11 machine.
No. I think Avery's right on point. I think he is doing what he does. He was saving his tires, Brian. These guys still got to make it some 22 laps before they pit if they want to do this thing with one shot. So I think Avery is just back there and he is being a conservative, and I think that's exactly what he needs to do. He's playing his game. You know, Souza kind of burned his stuff up there in that last stage. You know, and I don't know. Maybe, like I said, sometimes it's just that it's the pressure to compete is what actually causes you to expire, you know, quicker.
No, you're right. I mean, it's just like a lot of the tracks we've been visiting lately with this next gen car. I mean, it's all about taking care of your equipment and not falling victim to that that temptation to get that instant gratification. Like, hey, that guy's in front of me, I got to get in front of him. Like, no.
Yeah, you say all the time, chasing the carrot, right?
Oh yeah, carrot on a stick mentality, and a lot of guys fall victim to it. I mean, I'm one of them. That's probably why I know. You see, Jeffrey Souza was desperate to try to get around Mark Pageant there. I think he did probably heat those tires up a little bit more than he wanted to. Don Avery has found his way around Matt DeCiani. Could this be DeCiani's plan? Kind of save it a little bit here. Wait for these guys to burn their stuff up and just come in and collect the rewards.
Not even that. It's just waiting until it's time to pit. You know, you got to stretch it out, man. You know what I mean?
You definitely do. But I mean, the thing is, though, you know, you want to at least, especially you got to try to go and put the hammer down at some point. Just considering you're going to lose so much time. I'd say, you know, even if you're just holding on until you pit. You know, if Clayton Hopkins way out in front of you, you got to try to figure something out.
I'm not saying don't put the hammer down. I'm saying that it's throttle management. You have to conserve. You got to save your tires. You got, and in some cases, you know, guys are going to be saving fuel because some of these guys might actually elect to run it. You know, like you said, they might run it long, try to run the car almost out of gas, so that way they can actually go faster in the second stage. We're going to have to wait to see how these pit strategies evolve, if they even get a chance to all the way evolve. Because who knows, man? It could be a caution.
These guys are now 30 laps into this run, soon to be 31, which means I'd say in the next 5 to 10 to 15, somewhere in that range, that's when all these calls are going to be starting to get made here, Big Al. If guys are going to short pit, I'd say they're probably going to pit in 5, and if the guys are going to try to split it in half, they're going to pit in 10.
You're going to see John Mullins, I do believe, coming down pit road, because once Clayton Hoffman is on the same straight as he is, at that point, I think he's just going to come on down, bite the bullet, and go ahead and pit, because he is the only one on the racetrack right now that is running in the 34s. Clayton Hoffman, on the other end of that spectrum, is the only one running in the 32s.
And what's really shocking about this is, unlike Darlington, when we were at Darlington, guys were way off the pace. They went a lap down a lot quicker. It doesn't seem like that's really been the case.
Mullins pit road.
You definitely called that. John Mullins in that Ram machine taking it down to pit road. Now that is the start of the green flag stops, and that's really close for him, though. I don't know. I mean, it's the numbers are going to be really tight there with if he can make it to the end here.
He is having an extended stay on pit road. Not sure what's going on with that. We'll continue to watch that situation.
And it could very well be that, maybe he got into the wall or something like that. Maybe something we didn't see. But we'll definitely don't want to really speculate too much on that, but definitely keep an eye on him and see what's going wrong there. Ooh, Mark Pageant almost gets into the outside wall there, as these guys are still racing hard. Jeffrey Souza finds himself in the second place. And Clayton Hoffman in another zip code. Big Al, he has got 4.7 seconds right now. Oh, Pageant having some issues.
Yeah, now the 48 of Chris D. Johnson is wrangling old Wayne Grassi there. They're battling for what would be 11th place. Johnson trying to make his move on the inside. This pass is definitely laboring here a little bit. It's a 64 John Mullins re-enters the racing surface. Mullins now finds himself some 2 laps down.
Yeah, these guys back here are definitely struggling for sure, and still fighting for every piece of position they can get here.
Yep, green flag racing continues, gone through the first 2 stages of this thing, caution free, and we are still caution free with 47 laps to go.
What a performance we've seen from Clayton Hoffman here. I mean, almost, I'd say, unheard of for someone to have 5 seconds, even before green flag stops. I mean, imagine what, that's going to look like. If he has a perfect stop, he's going to be able to put on, maybe even 10 seconds on these guys by the end of this race. But the thing is, though, Big Al, we're in that prime period to where, what if Clayton messes up on pit road? What if any of these guys mess up on pit road? I mean, that could be such a costly mistake.
Yes, sir. That's a very true statement. But this field is really starting to spread out, Brian. I think we're definitely starting to get an idea of who had that car really set up for the long run and who is really, really struggling.
Yeah, most everybody now in the 33-second range here. Of course, they started out hitting 31, so, I mean, that means they've fallen off over 2 seconds for the majority of the field. That is substantial fall off, especially at a mile and a half.
Mark Sanchez definitely not doing well as he is all the way at the back of the pack. Randy Drumhiller faring a little better as now he is actually running up into 8th place. So he is definitely doing a lot better on the long run than he did on the short run. Don Avery still holding strong as he is in 3rd place.
Definitely very interesting. I mean, I was watching Sanchez earlier, and he had some significant long run pace. I'm wondering if they maybe made an adjustment, or maybe the longer run. Maybe he was only good up into the lap 25. You know what I mean? I mean, these guys are now verging on 40 laps on their tires.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think we're within 10 laps here. Is Brian Johnson really going to be off the pace there?
Yeah, speaking of which, we're actually 38 laps into this run, so it'd be 39. So green flag pit stop is going to be taking place any time for a lot of these race cars. I do believe I just saw somebody. Nope.
Yep, looks like
somebody.
Mark Paget is down pit road. The 31 also Mark Sanchez down pit road.
I'll tell you what, pit road can be a place that can make or break you. Because, I mean, if you are good at, pushing it to the limit on entry, you can gain a lot of time on a lot of these drivers at this racetrack. So, will guys be willing to risk it?
I'm going to go ahead and officially call it that green flag pit stops are underway.
That they are.
I think we can safely say that now.
Yeah.
Here comes the 7, Wayne Grossi. He'll be coming down pit road.
It looks like about everybody's got that on the brain. They're definitely talking with their crews and getting everybody ready. They're getting the tires set out there, getting ready to get that, hey, stop eating ice cream. It's time to change some tires.
Yep, the 14 is Jeffrey Souza down pit road. Now, I'm watching Clayton because if he can actually make it to 40 to go, I mean, then he's golden on the end of this thing. That will actually be the halfway point, too, on their fuel and tires.
Yeah, definitely will be. And, a lot of these guys pitting about a lap earlier, 2 laps early. Souza, that is a very significant stop right there because he pitted out of 2nd place. That's going to signify to everybody.
Grease bomb. All right, now I do believe everybody that pits past this point was good to go to the end of this thing. If you pit it prior to this, then I think you're going to find yourself struggling a little bit.
Yeah, you're going to struggle. You'll be able to make it on gas, but your tires are going to be aching by the end of this race.
Yep. So that's
Kenny Powell under fire from Randy Drumhiller right now. Of course, these guys are
Leader
yet
pit
to
road.
pit.
Leader pit road. And I believe that's exactly what Clayton wanted to do. He had to get it down to where it was manageable. 40 laps to go to the end of this thing. I think that is exactly what you want to try to do is the one of Matt DeCiani, the 88 of Keselowski, the 24 of Powell, the 48 of Chris Johnson, I do believe. All
Yeah,
down
it looks like a
road.
lot of
That's not
people.
the 48.
That's actually Brian Johnson there, but a lot of guys went down pit road. You saw Matt DeCiani kind of lock the tires up a little bit there. I think these guys really wanted to get as much time as they could on Clayton, but you
Whoa.
see that it was literally follow the
Brian
leader.
Johnson?
Oh
Was it
no!
Brian Johnson and Clayton Hoffman were sharing the same pit stall. Not sure what that was about. Either one of those two is going to have a awesome pit stop, or the other one is going to be struggling.
Yeah, I do
As we
believe
see
Brian
Randy
Johnson
Granville.
actually missed his box there because you had to see him sit in, get in reverse. But Mark
All right,
Pageant
now.
pitted a little bit early. Well, I don't know. Mark Pageant actually, not Mark Pageant. Yeah, Mark Pageant. I do believe he might have just passed Clayton Hoffman. I could be wrong. Maybe that was just to get his lap back.
And the 84 of Andrew Layton being shown in the lead right now. He has currently got 40. He's going to have 45 laps on his tires. But I do believe he'll be coming in the pit at this time, and that will rotate us. No, Andrew Layton's, still going to stay out. He's going to run one more. That puts him at 45 laps on this equipment.
And that's almost the limit of even the fuel here for that 84. So he's definitely risking it for the biscuit here to try to see if he can maybe get a caution to help him out.
Well, no doubt he'll be pitting this time. I don't think you get any advantage of staying out. You know, when you're running mid 33, still not bad, but you're gonna shave too much time. And just like that, the 84 is coming down pit road, and looks like he is in jeopardy of missing pit road there almost.
He definitely clobbered that cone, that's for sure. And whenever I was speaking earlier about Mark Pageant passing Clayton Hoffman there, that was actually for the lead. So Mark Pageant's going to find himself as the leader now. And the thing about it, he went really early, and he cut down a lot of Clayton's lead, but now he's going to be on older tires than Clayton, so Clayton I don't think is going to have too much trouble actually chasing him down.
That's a very, very true story. I mean, he will be out front, but just for a little while.
He's actually got 7 laps on his tires, Mark Pageant does. Clayton Hoffman, of course, has 3. So, I mean, that's a lot of people would say, hey, that's not a huge difference. But at a track like this, we've seen how big the fall off has been.
Yeah, but even more specific, I mean, Clayton Hoffman's chasing.
Yeah, for sure. But I'm just saying the fall off has been significant here. I mean, even 4 laps difference is enough to make a huge difference. And Pageant has, he's shown speed here tonight, but no one has shown Clayton's level of speed, which I think the point you were trying to make.
Yep. Because just like that, Clayton Hoffman regains the lead. And at this point, I think he's just going to proceed to see how many people he can actually put a lap down.
Yeah, and so far, I mean, it's been pretty good for a lot of the drivers out there. Have not seen a ton of guys go a lap down here. Of course, Andrew Layton, I do believe he's out of the car. He's now 2 laps down. Andrew Griesbaum finds himself 1 lap down.
Layton's coming off the pit road. He's still in it.
Okay. Thought I saw him actually out of the car for a second there. But, yeah, only 3 drivers found themselves 1 lap down or more, which is quite substantial for a race like this. I mean, with Clayton's pace, I'm surprised he hasn't put more guys a lap down here.
He's on his way.
He definitely is. I mean, you look at guys like Chris Johnson, 26.2 back behind the leader. Of course, these guys are hitting 31 second laps right now, so it won't be long before Chris Johnson is going to have a rear view mirror full of that 92.
It looks like Andrew Layton back down pit road must be serving some type of a black flag or a penalty.
Could very well be the case. Unfortunate for that 84
and
team.
you know what? I do believe that that's exactly what it was, because he did have an unsafe pit entrance, which would be probably about a 40-second hold.
Yeah, definitely would have been, and that's going to definitely kill his race in a lot of ways. I mean, hard to come back from that, especially with how green this event has been so far here tonight.
I mean, we've been green pretty much the whole time. These guys definitely making this track seem really easy, especially compared to the other tracks that we raced on.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's shocked. I mean, just considering the lack of opportunity to really test your race setup. Oh, Mark Sanchez into the outside wall trying to catch up to Kenny Powell. That's going to take a little bit of his momentum away, but it looked like it didn't hurt him very much. But, yeah, definitely, I mean, these guys having a lack of, opportunities to actually try the race setups out and really fine-tune them. It doesn't seem like it's been holding these guys too far back. But then again, I mean, maybe because of that lack of time with their cars, that could be provoking a little bit of a cautious response for some guys, Big Al.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is the key where you can't take yourself out of it. I think at this point, drivers just got to be cautious, and that should be their middle name at this point. Just be cautious.
Clayton
Still
Hoffman
plenty of
now
race
down out.
left.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I was just saying, Clayton Hoffman back out to a huge lead again, 3.8 seconds. I mean, he passed Paget, and he just left. He's like, see ya. Wouldn't want to be ya. Definitely a valiant effort from everybody out here on the racetrack. I mean, it's been such a fantastic race. Jeffrey Souza, I think he's got a good shot at catching up here to Mark Paget. Of course, he, I do believe, pitted a lap or so earlier than Clayton Hoffman. I think the real race is not going to be for the lead. It's going to be for second place. Unless we see that green flag turn into yellow, and stranger things have happened, Big Al. We've seen it before to where it comes down to the short run. I mean, it could come down to that.
Yeah, that would just be unfortunate because, wow, that would change the entire dynamic of this race. I think everybody's just wanting this thing to stay green right now. Nobody is wanting to see a caution, even a flag man. With that, though, let's run through this running order here real quick. Clayton Hoffman's your leader with Mark Paget in second. Jeffrey Souza finds himself in third. Matt DeCiani is in fourth. Al Koslowski in the Speedway Angels 88 is in fifth. Kenny Powell in the 24 is in sixth. Brian Johnson in the 4 cars in seventh. Mark Sanchez finds himself in eighth. Randy Drumhiller in ninth. And Wayne Grassi rounds out our top 10.
What happened to Don Avery here? I do believe Don Avery is showing right now 2 laps down. Did he have a throughput error?
Not sure.
Because Don Avery was literally just up into, I do believe, 3rd place. Or 4th place. I think he was just in 4th place. And all of a sudden he's back there 13th. I think he had a throughput error or something. I can't really see and check on that, but definitely very odd. He was running so good tonight.
Yeah, Don Avery dropped due to upload packet loss, which means he glitched.
Just unfortunate. Had such a solid run going for him. I mean, he just seems like he's had a ton of bad luck. I mean, we've seen him in the last couple races as ran strong, but just something always goes wrong for that 11 car. You hate to see that.
Yeah, the Matrix got him.
Do have a little bit of battling going on right now. Kenny Powell and Al Koslowski fighting for that 5th position. Kenny Powell up on the top. Looks like he's going to get that pass completed here. Definitely some good points there for Kenny Powell. I mean, I'll tell you what, I felt so bad, so heartbroken on Saturday when, he had his issues, technical issues, to not be able to actually make the start at in the Tucson Sound Dart Cup Series there.
Oh yeah, but Clayton Hoffman is getting ready to feed himself the 7, the 48, and the 78. That's going to be Andrew Griesbaum, Wayne Grassi, and Chris Johnson, all very shortly going to find themselves victims of being going a lap down here. As Hoffman is slowly but quickly closing the gap on those 3.
What we haven't seen it. Of course, in the beginning of the race, we saw a lot of it where Clayton was having to deal with traffic. But he's been running so long up here by himself, essentially. Like, could this cause issues? I mean, I don't know though. I don't think it really will. Just considering, I mean, Clayton has been just fantastic here so far tonight, and these guys, pace-wise, they're not anywhere close to what he's running right now. I mean, about four tenths is the difference between, I do believe, Clayton Hoffman and Wayne Grossi here. Let me actually make sure and confirm that. But, yeah, actually about a half a second, a little more. So that's a substantial difference here, I suspect. I mean, these guys might not want to let Clayton go. I don't think they're going to have a choice there, Big Al.
As Kenny Powell finds himself tagging the wall just a little bit, and that's going to allow Al Koslowski to drive by him on the inside. Also going to stack up to 84 of Andrew Layton, but Layton's being shown some 3 laps down, so he is not in the picture right now. He's just trying to get around Powell, make his way up to get around the 88 as well.
Yeah, that's just unfortunate there. Kind of, you know, Kenny had that pass completed, but then once he, I guess, got into the clean air, it changed the handling of that race car or something like that. As now Al Koslowski finding himself up in 5th. And, of course, he is also in the playoff picture, so he's going to be definitely excited to try to get a good finish here. I know he struggled pretty heavily at Darlington. He's definitely going to need a good recovery here to try to make it to the next round. Jeffrey Souza has caught up to Mark Pageant here. This is going to be the race for 2nd place. Of course, Mark Pageant pitted a few laps earlier than Souza did, so I don't know how, if Souza's going to be able to make this pass stick. We'll have to wait and see here. I mean, does Pageant have enough tire left to hold him off?
Yeah, it looks like Hoffman's going to make his way around the 7 of Grossi. But the 48, though, him and the 78 of Griesbaum, they've kind of stretched their legs a little bit, so not sure if they will actually be able to stay on the lead lap or not.
It's definitely very close here. I mean, looking at Clayton's last time by, 32.9 was his last lap. Looking at, like you were just talking about, Chris Johnson, he hit a 33.015, so only about a 10th difference in lap time. Of course, Andrew Griesbaum actually is already a lap down. So he definitely don't want to go 2, because if a caution comes out, I do believe, if I'm looking at this correctly, actually Wayne Grossi would be the lucky dog, but definitely, you know, definitely Griesbaum is going to want to probably try to get that lap back, but I don't know if anybody's going to have the opportunity. I mean, just no really signals or any kind of thing that makes me think a caution is going to come out. These guys have really just ran very clean race tonight. I mean, we haven't seen really much of any contact tonight, to be honest with you.
Yeah, the race has been exceptionally clean, but that's what you get with these ISCA guys, though. I mean, true story. And, you know, it is 1.5 miles. The Darlington, tricky. Daytona, tricky. Then we were at short track, so I think we were due 1.5 mile experience, and that's exactly what these guys are giving our audience here this evening.
100%. And, you know, one thing about 1.5 miles, so I think they even present a little bit more of a likelihood for a caution, but I just don't think that he's, you know, it just seems like these guys have definitely got the right, you know, frame of mind here tonight. They came in here knowing that, you know, they had to tackle this, and you know, maybe even the lack of opportunity to run an A open or something like that maybe set them up even better, because I mean, a lot of times when you run those, you know, A open after A open to try to get your car correct, I mean, sometimes you might get in that a little bit of a bad frame of mind, because you know those officials can do that to you sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely. 14 laps to go in this one before we get it in the books. Clayton Hoffman slowly catching up to the 48. That is Chris D. Johnson, and when he does, that'll put just 9 cars on that lead lap.
Yeah, not even just Chris Johnson's got to worry. I mean, you got Mark Sanchez. He's about 27 seconds behind the leader.
Well, Sanchez is a ways up. He's good for right now, and Griesbaum, like you said, is already a lap down. So if Sanchez can hold and maintain, he might be able to stay on the lead lap.
And look at that. You know, Andrew Griesbaum and Chris Johnson are battling, even though Johnson is on a different lap than Griesbaum is. Of course, Griesbaum is a lap down, like you mentioned. A little bit of a battle kind of coming to fruition here. Brian Johnson catching up to Randy Drumhiller in the 44, trying to fight for 7th. Kenny Powell still has not given up on Al Kozlowski, trying to take away that 5th position, but Kozlowski has proved a formidable foe.
Yeah, just going to be 10 laps to go for the leader at the line. Mark Sanchez is definitely going to have to keep that hammer down if he's going to want to stay on the lead lap. Randy Drumhiller definitely got to be feeling pretty good about his run here, though, in this third stage, because he's actually up into the 7th place here with 10 laps to go.
And the battle really not over for 2nd place. I mean, Souza got past Mark Sanchez or Mark Pageant, but Pageant has been staying right there with that 14. Of course, he is on substantially older tires, but I think that maybe he was running in a more of a conservative manner in this last bit here. It's man, Souza getting really close to that outside wall. He's running still right around the bottom line. So interesting to see the different strategies from these drivers here tackling this racetrack. I mean, traditionally, Kansas is a top groove racetrack, but it looks like other guys may be setting up to try to, maybe run that bottom. And it seems like it might be working for them. I mean, definitely interested to see that because, Kansas really was that track to where if you weren't running at the top, you weren't going to be able to do anything. But it seems like the next gen definitely has, changed that quite a bit. Paget getting really loose off of 2 there, almost nails the wall.
Yeah, especially with the improvements they've made on this Gen 7 car here this season. I mean, from what we started with, at the beginning of the season to the car that we have now, 2 completely different vessels. So, and these drivers, I mean, really doing an excellent job adapting to the new car here this season as well, Brian.
Yeah, they definitely have been. Kenny Powell, though, after you mentioned that contact with the walls, he was battling with Al Kozlowski. Now is going to find himself under fire here. Of course, you see the 4 and the 44 side by side, and they're not far behind Kenny Powell here, as you see the 44 trying to defend against Brian Johnson.
Yeah, but I think the 44 is the one that's on the move here, and they both are pulling in Kenny. But I think that the 44, though, is definitely the one that's got stronger legs right now.
Does seem like it. We'll have to wait and see here. As Kenny Powell now under a tremendous amount of pressure from 2 cars. He's got 2 invading forces here. I do believe Brian Johnson going to use it to his advantage. 44 Randy Drumhiller did not pounce on Kenny Powell, but it looks like he's going to try now. Powell almost going a little bit of a late block.
Just a little bit, and that's going to cause the 44 to just lose the momentum and as well as the position. Now Randy Drumhiller finds himself all the way back in the 8th place.
Yeah, I mean, Powell definitely pushing the limits there. He's like, I do not want to lose any more positions than I need to, and almost version on 3 wide there.
I don't know. I don't think Drumhiller is in the playoffs, so I'm not sure.
He's definitely racing like he is.
Yeah,
and there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, with 5 to go, Powell's definitely going to want to maintain that position as much as he can.
I don't know. Into the wall again.
Looks like Drumhiller is going to get the drive off there, and that might end that conversation, but Powell's going to be charging here, coming there, trying to get by him as well.
Look at Powell almost doing some short track racing. Contact! Kenny Powell bouncing off of the 44. Powell looks like he is done playing around. I don't think Randy Drumhiller was really racing him dirty there. I just think Powell, desperation, wanting to get as many points as he can.
Yeah, absolutely. But Drumhiller definitely having the stronger car right there, and Powell letting it all hang out, finds himself just making brief contact with the wall. The 31 of Mark Sanchez definitely doing everything he can. With 4 to go, will be 3 at the line for the leader. But Clayton Hoffman has his sights set on the 31, and if he does get by him, that will leave just 8 cars here on the lead lap with us.
You know what's nuts about that, Big Al? We have had a completely green race except for the stages. So, I mean, this has been a absolute crazy event here tonight. I mean, just shocking to see that. Clayton Hoffman definitely has shown a tremendous amount of speed. Almost 9 seconds that he has back to second place of Jeffrey Souza. And I know a lot of these guys just trying to hang on. Sanchez is probably feeling the heat a lot more than a lot of the guys out there, though.
Yeah, with 2 to go here, Clayton Hoffman doing everything he can. I don't think he's going to get to the 31, and if he does, I don't think the 31's going to let him go by. But, what a race it has been, and Clayton Hoffman definitely putting on a clinic here this evening, as he has pretty much led this thing, except for maybe 10 laps in stage 1, I do believe, as he did start somewhere in 11th place, I'm thinking.
White flag getting ready to come out here. We're still seeing a little bit of battling back here for the 6th place position. Drumheller not done with Brian Johnson yet. We'll have to wait and see if he can capitalize and actually get up to him. But they are right there. He is in spitting distance. Can he make something happen here? Very impressed with that 40 for him. He has done a fantastic job. And you see the 4 of Brian Johnson actually starting to run down Al Kozlowski. I feel like if they had just a couple more laps, it might have been a little bit of a different story.
But Kozlowski's got to be tickled pink with a 5th place finish here this evening as well.
Well, that is going to seal it, though. Clayton Hoffman going to win the TeamWatsonRacing.com 200 here at Kansas. A dominant win for that 92. Jeffrey Souza going to come home 2nd place. Mark Pageant in 3rd. 4th place going to belong to Matt DeCiani. 5th place going to belong to Al Kozlowski. 6th place, Brian Johnson. 7th place, Randy Drumheller. 8th place, Kenny Powell. 9th place, Mark Sanchez. 10th, Chris Johnson.
11th place is going to be Wayne Grossi, with 12th, Andrew Griesbaum. 13th, John Mullins. 14th, Andrew Layton. 15th, Don Avery. And that's going to round out that entire field here this evening. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be right back after a word from our sponsors with our post-race show.
ButtKicker. Feel what you've been missing. Get yours today at thebuttkicker.com and be sure to use our 20% discount promo code ISCA20.
And we are back, ladies and gentlemen. We had a barn burner of a race there. Clayton Hoffman definitely putting on a dominant performance out there. Mark Pageant comes home in 3rd. Looks like you definitely had a fast race car there in that 0-2. Man, how are you feeling? Do you feel like you wanted a caution there? Or do you feel like you like to have it stay green?
Yeah, that's a good question. I was really torn about that. A caution would have given me a shot at Clayton because I could only keep up with him for about 20 laps. But, playoff, big picture, I was happy to come home with a 3rd place.
Now, what were some of the challenges of the racetrack? I know, A Opens were kind of off the table this week. Did that present a challenge?
Not for us. We do a lot of testing offline outside of the races anyway. This track in here, though, compared to NIS last night was way different. I don't know if it was the fuel or the track state. but it was really tight in here for me tonight.
Well, it was a little bit hot. I mean, it was about 105, I do believe, by the end of this thing, and the wind was actually substantially high, almost 12-mile-an-hour winds from the southwest, I do believe. You think that might have played a part in it?
Oh, the wind absolutely played a part in it. Coming off a two, I never knew if I was going to be tight or loose thanks to the wind. You probably
Definitely.
saw that on the broadcast. I hit that wall a few times.
Yeah. Did you think you hit it more than you did at Darlington?
And Darlington takes the cake always for the stripe.
That's right. Well, definitely interesting race here at Kansas. I mean, definitely, you still were able to kind of think on your feet. Were you making a lot of adjustments during the race?
Oh yeah, every pit stop. I started off with air pressures and I was doing perches by the end of it. I was super tight.
Well, it definitely seemed like it played out well for you, still finishing in third. Do you think the pit sequences, like the pit stop strategy, might have played a role too? Because I know you went in quite early.
I did, and that was mostly because of how tight I was. I wanted a pit adjustment. That was the whole thinking there. I wasn't trying to, you know, jump out front and lead laps or anything. I just was getting super tight and I wanted to loosen the car up.
Well, you still managed to stay there with Souza for quite a while. Definitely a noteworthy performance for you. Definitely going to be helping you in the playoff picture for sure. I do believe Bristol going to be coming up next week. How you feeling about that one?
That's a very, very strong performance for you guys here tonight. Don't think you guys ever had two on the podium like that. So surely that's got to mean something for you, right?
Yeah, and like I said when we talked earlier, the guys really put a great work in this week. We got started a little bit late, but like we were talking about, not having any opens kind of gave us a chance to work Monday and Tuesday on it as well. And then, like you said, 2-3 for me and Mark. Wish Don's internet wouldn't have dropped out there, because I'm pretty sure he would have beaten both of us and it would have been a 2-3-4. But we'll take the 2-3 and do what we can for next week, I guess.
Yeah, and speaking of next week, I mean, we're getting ready to head to Bristol. And so the first thing is, are you glad that it's going to be asphalt, or you kind of missed the dirt? What's your preference there on the Bristol track?
Personally, I didn't really run this car on dirt when we were there earlier this season. I've run the truck there and something else. I don't remember what the other thing was, but I ran two things there. I've also had the luxury to run this thing on asphalt there now twice before they did the major updates. The original version of this car I ran there. And then I've also run this car here at Bristol about maybe a month and a half ago in another league. So I was telling Mark, I kind of think that it's going to be similar to where we were here tonight at Kansas, where you know outside's going to be preferred for a little while with the big runs that you can get up there. But if you want to conserve tire, you want to be fast, it's going to be getting that bottom lane to roll. So we're going to hope that we can take what we had this week for that bottom lane roll speed and hopefully gain on it a little bit to try to give Clayton a little bit of a battle at Bristol.
So, what you got? Any predictions for us? You especially as far as Triad's concerned, are you going to predict Triad? What 3 out of the top 5 there? Can I get you? Can I get that in writing from you?
Let's say I'll give you a confirmation on me burning the right front tire off it, because I love to do that at Bristol. And I will say that the majority of us will probably be in the top 10 next week. Hopefully we can get Jeff Barnes and Thomas O'Hara back out there for next week's race.
Yeah, well, definitely a solid points run for you here this night as well, man. And I hate to regress, but were you actually able to save that right rear going to the last stage of this thing?
Yes. Thankfully, I went back on those changes from that I made before the second stage, and for that last stage there, I kind of tried to pace myself as Don was doing in the first few stages there. And I think you guys could see on the broadcast that me and Don and Mark kind of separated ourselves. As I said, it's the best of the rest, basically. Clayton was gone from us, but we were basically checked out from everybody else. So Yeah, it's been tough this week to get the tire saving, throttle management down, but I think I did a pretty decent job, and I'm happy with the second.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Congratulations to you on that. Congratulations to Triad. Very strong performance for your team here tonight. Unfortunately, Don Avery, he kind of disconnected on us, but who knows what might have been, man. Going into Bristol next week, be a different look for everybody. Can't wait to see how you guys going to do. But before we let you go, who you shouting out tonight there, Mr. Souza?
Got to shout out to Analyzer for all they do, getting us ready and making sure that we're able to compare your laps with each other. Susan Media for helping us every week. Everyone at Triad, and then a special shout out to Carl Dotson, who usually runs with us on Thursdays. He's got some upcoming surgery, I guess, coming up. So hopefully he'll be good and he'll be back racing with us as soon as he can and be healthy.
Yeah, absolutely, bud. And congratulations. And don't party too hard tonight.
10-4, BL.
Alrighty, that was Clay, or I'm sorry, Jeffrey Sousa, who finished second place tonight. Definitely a valiant finish here for him to be able to come back from dealing with some handling conditions. But I'll tell you, one person that definitely did not have to deal with any handling conditions at all tonight was Clayton Hoffman. I mean, you started back in the back, I do believe in 11th place. Could you tell us, was that on purpose?
Uh, I mean, yeah, I didn't go out and set a Q lap, so I mean, I guess it was on purpose.
What was the
Some stuff,
reasoning?
some stuff kind of came up, and I was talking with some guys from the team, so I didn't really feel like queuing at the time, so I just like I'm pretty fast in race, so I'll just see what happens.
You definitely were pretty fast in race. I think that's an understatement in a lot of ways. I mean, you were uh, the fastest guy on the racetrack by far. And we saw early in the event, you kind of almost had a close call with the wall. Luckily, that did not, proceed like it did. But you were able to drive through the traffic. Can you touch on, how difficult it was to get through traffic tonight?
Yeah, I think the kind of once again the 15-gallon fuel tank just kind of throws you for a curveball here. This track is just so temperature sensitive when it comes to how the tires wear and how your balance is in the car, especially over the intermediate and long runs. That I I I I was in the session as soon as practice opened up, trying stuff to try and figure it out because I knew if I could get a good handle on it, I have a pretty big advantage. But with this car and the 15-gallon fuel tank, it's still kind of hard to figure out that short run to get that kind of closer to what you have when you run the full tank, and that just kind of screws with the intermediate and long run with how the tires wear and build temperature. So, um, like I said, I did as much as I could. I think I had a pretty good handle on it, and I think that was a pretty big difference maker.
Now, were you adjusting the whole race, during the stages too?
No, no, I ran same full fuel the whole time during the race. All my adjustments came before the race in that little hour practice. Like I said, I think I had made some pretty good adjustments. I liked my wear. It wasn't as good as full fuel, but it was pretty close, and I knew I could manage it pretty well.
Well, that you did. I mean, definitely were the fastest guy out there. I mean, I know we saw Mark Pageant kind of short pitch you, get out in front of you. Was that ever a concern? Did you know you'd be able to catch back up and get right by him?
I honestly wasn't really paying attention to Mark. I was paying attention to Don actually, and I saw when he pit, and I knew he pit too early, and then I was paying attention to Jeffrey, and honestly, I kind of lost Mark there. I'm not. I mean, he was right behind him. I should have been paying attention, but I was fast enough to where it ended up not really mattering. But it didn't really matter. Sorry.
That's all right, and definitely substantial how the tire wear was. I mean, you and Mark Pageant only had 4 lap tire difference, but I mean, the tire wear here at this track has been substantial. Do you think that presented any challenges?
The main challenge with the tires, really, because of the 15-gallon fuel tank, it was really just controlling your tire temps. Everybody was probably like me, wearing really tight. compared to full fuel. And if I didn't make my adjustments, I would have worn even tighter. But the problem was for me on my intermediate, once I get to around like lap 15 to 20, depending on how hard I'm pushing, I'm overheating my right rear. And once you get it to a certain temperature threshold, you just lose grip and it snaps loose. So um, yeah, that was a big challenge tonight. Was managing those tire temps.
Yeah, it definitely seemed like you conquered that challenge, though, for sure. You definitely were able to, rise up and meet that. Man, great job to you. Coming off of a win, at Darlington, too, winning, we've only had 2 playoff races so far, and you've won both of them. Man, I mean, that's got to be giving you a lot of momentum going, to try to get another championship here.
Yeah, it feels good. Yeah, I was just so fast at Michigan, I didn't end up, getting the win after leading all those laps. I knew Kansas was a very similar setup style to Michigan, more so than any other track we've had between them. So just took what I had at Michigan, adjusted for the heights, adjusted for the springs, for entry exit, and it was just as fast as it was at Michigan, honestly.
Yeah, definitely seemed like it for sure. And for this thing to go green the whole way too. I mean, were you ever nervous towards the end that like something's gonna go wrong?
I was only really nervous at the beginning of the race, just because starting in the mid pack. I mean, if something happens with 2 guys, 3 guys in front of you, you might not have anywhere to go. Might pick up some damage, which will hurt you on the straightaway. And this track isn't as big as Michigan, but draft still plays a pretty big factor when it comes to overall pace. So I was kind of worried then as far as the late race goes. Uh, I run a couple NISs. I kind of have figured out some stuff as far as what I should be doing for strategy, depending on field size and whatnot. Made a little mistake earlier today, but I think I got a pretty good handle on it and how this tire reacts and what you need to do for it.
You definitely seem like you do for sure. Our winner here tonight definitely put on a heck of a performance. I mean, I don't think anybody really had anything for him. He was out in another zip code, and what a race! I mean, just green the whole entire way. I mean, we've seen that before. I do believe in ISCA history quite a few times, but I'll tell you what, it definitely surprises you still when it happens, don't you think, Big Al?
Yeah, absolutely, man. It was a phenomenal race that we saw here tonight. Once again, these guys never disappointed, man. Green to checkers. I mean, what else could you ask for, man? So thanks to our sponsors. Thanks to the drivers. Congratulations to the winners. And man, can't wait to do it again.
Definitely can't, especially speaking of which, we got Saturday coming up here about 9:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You're going to be to see um, some of the same guys, but not all the same guys, as they are also going to be entering the second playoff race at Kansas. So definitely looking forward to seeing what that one looks like. So make sure you tune in. And big shout out to ButtKicker, Team Watson Racing Setups for coming on board here for tonight's race. And definitely ISCA as a whole for giving us the opportunity to come out here and call these amazing races to where we see Clayton Hoffman get out to a 9-second lead and just drive away and just see all kinds of crazy finishes. I'll tell you what, I mean, I don't know what to expect every time that I come here to watch these and call these races. I mean, man, I'm about as big of a fan as about everybody out there watching here. So definitely
Hey,
looking
thank
forward.
you. And I appreciate everybody being such a big fan
I'm
of
not
Big
talking
Al.
about you.
Oh, sorry.
I'm a big fan of the racing. That's what's important. It ain't
Oh
about our
yeah.
personalities.
Yeah. I got it. The racing is a part of what we do.
That's for sure. Well, thanks everybody for tuning in, and we'll see you on Saturday. Make sure you tune right in, and of course, the continuation of this series here to see what the playoffs are going to look like. Make sure you tune in next week on Thursday, 9:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Race will go green around 9:30. So make sure you tune in as we're going to be tackling Bristol, and you already know that Bristol is going to be exciting. So thanks everybody for watching tonight.